So Jesus is hanging out with the crowd, spending time with people, sharing words of wisdom. And from the context of this passage, it seems that Jesus and the crowd are having a bit of a chill kind of day. An afternoon of hillside chats. Conversations seem to flow back and forth. And then at one point, someone tells Jesus, a bit like, a news reporter, "Hey, Jesus, have you heard about what's been happening?" And so they tell about the couple of tragedies involving local citizens. One accidental and the other purposely caused by humans. And then this gentleman, I think it was a gentleman, asked Jesus an ancient question, one we hear today. Why do bad things happen to good people? Or who are we to blame for these tragedies? Did these things happen to them because they sinned? And Jesus answers with a very strong no, and moves on to how things work in God's kingdom. The grace of second chances. And he tells a parable of an unproductive fig tree, that a landowner planted a fig tree among his grapevines. And like most fruit trees, it didn't bear fruit right away. So after 3 years, the owner comes by the fig tree and checks it out. And still there is no fruit. And right then and there, the landowner deems it a worthless tree. And he tells the gardener, "It's taking up space on my land, wasting good soil, cut it down. Once it's gone, I'll have room for a more dedicated, hardworking tree, maybe another grapevine or two." But the gardener sees the tree's potential and advocates for the tree, giving the tree another chance. The gardener promises to care for the tree, providing plant medicine, manure, a slow activating fertilizer. The gardener seems hopeful that with careful, regular tending of the soil, the fig tree will flourish. My sister and her partner have a summer home in a California beach town. And their neighbor has several fruit trees and very delicate flowering plants. Every time I visit them, we walk past this yard to get to the beach. And this garden is amazing to me. I just marvel at the beauty and how luscious the fruit looks on her trees. And Sylvia tells me that for as long as she can remember, the owner lovingly cares for each plant, that she sees the owner out there tending on a regular basis daily. And somehow it seems the owner is coaxing new life into some of the older plantings. Have you ever needed to be given a second chance? Have you ever needed to have someone or something to coax you to thrive? Or have you ever been at a place in your life when you felt very stuck? Nothing seemed to be working smoothly, like your flow was gone. You felt stagnant? When we get like this, in our society always is telling us that we should go for the quick fix. And our society promotes 3 strikes and you're out. It can cause us, when we feel stuck, to wonder if we are worthy enough. When our society tends to be quick to throw old things out rather than fix them, or to cut down and uproot rather than tend and nurse things back to life, we may wish to give up when we find ourselves stuck. Jesus, during another time of teaching to a crowd, said to those who were listening, I come so you may have life and have it abundantly. Jesus believes that we are meant to thrive. And yet, even as I say that word, I know there could be some tension in that statement because our definition of thriving today, where you are in your place today, may not be the same as it was when you were younger, right? Those of you who are younger, looking at those of us who are older, are thinking that if I say I'm thriving, you might go, really? It doesn't quite look that way, but hey, it's thriving for me. You know, Susanna Wesley, who is John Wesley's mother, John Wesley, the one who began Methodism, Susanna Wesley had 19 children. Susanna was known to be a fun-loving mother, and yet one who kept a tight rein on her children. She also was a very spiritual woman who took care to tend to her relationship with God in her younger years, and then when she was raising 19 children. She had to adapt. When it was prayer time, Susanna would throw her apron over her head. I guess she was sitting down. Throw her apron over her head, and it was a clue to the kids. Don't bother Mama. She's praying. Thriving in prayer with 19 children looked differently than thriving in prayer when one was single, right? Rather than giving up her prayer time, Susanna found another way. I wonder if one reason we don't consider alternative ways is that it often can look kind of wonky or maybe complex. It can take time. I'm reminded of a friend who loved to ride bike. It was his thing. It's his exercise. It helped him thrive in life, to move down the trails and have the wind blow in his face. However, in recent years, he's had a difficult time riding because of back pain. He's gotten older. And so he stopped riding, and with the help of a physical therapist, began to care for his back, tend his back. And after weeks of therapy, he graduated. You know how physical therapists tell you graduated? But he was still concerned that if he went back to riding, the pain would return to his hip and his leg and his back. And so he just thought, I'll just give up. But he didn't give up. He learned about a person who could assess his posture while he was on his bike, and sure enough, meeting with this caring bike master seems that it brought new hope to my friend. There were computers and cameras involved, and adjustments were made, and his seat was positioned just so, and his pedal cleats aligned just right, and some tips were given on how to strengthen a lazy leg. It turns out that all the time and energy that he put into tending and caring for his body actually improved his biking form. He became fruitful. He says that he's now riding faster than before, and he's experiencing less back pain. My friend is thriving once more. There is grace in second chances. And yet, I realize we must keep a balance between not giving up and falling into a trap of perfection. Do you get what I'm saying? Don't give up. And on the other hand, don't be trying to climb that ladder of perfection. There's this happy medium. So perhaps it's how we go about it, how we go about our life, our pace. As I was writing this part of the sermon, my watch immediately signaled for me. I listened to my watch. And I looked at it, and it told me to pause for a moment of mindfulness. Now, it does that periodically, and I have no idea if I set up my watch to do this at certain times, but it always seems that it gives me the signal when I'm in an intense thought, or I'm rushing to get somewhere, like coming to the office in the morning, or if I'm striving for perfection. And so I like it that I'm reminded to pause and to tend to my breathing, to relax the muscles in my shoulders and across my back. Maybe even to get up and take a few minutes to walk outside. All these things help us as we discern to pause or to move forward in a certain way. Some days, it seems like we are living life on a treadmill, moving ahead but going nowhere. Or maybe we may feel like we are climbing an endless ladder of achievement, caught in an endless staircase of caring or studying or working, or there's social pressure for us to succeed, whatever that looks like for you. But what would happen if we would just stop and pause? What if we became conscious of the other reasons why we do the activities that we do? What if we would pause and consider what is driving us? What if we lowered our expectations, striving for excellence rather than for perfection? Kate Bowler, the woman who's the author of the book that we are following, points out that even a daily practice of prayer that is life-giving can lose its meaning if it becomes a treadmill, doing because we are expected to do. I can say that sometimes in my life I was praying because I had to pray, couldn't get out of the house without my daily devotions, and so it became like I was driven to do it, I was expected to do it, rather than it being a life-changing experience. Rather than pausing and maybe throwing the apron over my head, I don't know. We have to just stop and adapt. Just like the fig tree needed to have a change in order for a change. Just like the fig tree needed to have a change in how it was cared for, we too will need to stop our routine and reconsider what is most helpful for us to be fruitful. Don't wait for your watch to tell you to stop. Plan some time. Maybe the red light. Maybe when traffic gets, tight. Maybe, when you're drinking your coffee. Pause. Pause and consider, what will help me to be more fruitful? Some of us have been so fruitful, giving so much to others, that we are actually becoming spent. And so we need to take some time to rest. I think that's what I'm doing in about a month from now when I take my renewal leave. I just need that time to just rest, like many plants do, in order to get back some more juice. What adjustments do you need to have the right conditions to thrive? And what medicine do you need to help have right relationship with yourself and with your neighbor? And I'm talking about our neighbors near and our neighbors far. How can we have a right relationship with those even in Ukraine today? How can you have a right relationship today with those who live next door and across the street in downtown Las Vegas? Does it mean you may need to stop and rest, like the friend with a bike who couldn't ride a bike for a while, and do something else? Jesus' fig tree story isn't about trying to make ourselves worthy so that we can find divine favor and so that we would be spared. Rather, it's a story of God who aches when we are not thriving. God who desires that we will be who all we've been created to be. The God who aches when we are not able to love ourselves or love God or love our neighbor. And from God's aching heart, this story is about God compassionately working with and within us to restore us. My friends, please know that each of you are beloved children of God. And so receive Christ's love. Just let it soak into you so that you can indeed become fruitful. So that you indeed can become the person that God has created you to be. Amen.